What is up, world? I'm Dave LaFave, and you're listening to Primetime Carolina. The Carolina Panthers have traded for Stephon Gilmore, former Defensive Player of the Year. Less than 2 seasons ago, this guy was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Just a week ago, we sat in this exact same spot, and we talked about the Panthers trading for a corner. That, of course, being C.J. Henderson. Last week, they took a risk. They rolled the dice on a young corner. This week, they rolled the dice on a more experienced corner. Stephon Gilmore is a former NFL Defensive Player of the Year. I can't say that enough times. If this guy can be a fraction of the player that he was just a couple seasons ago, the Panthers could be pulling off a colossal steal. The steal of the century. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. Or if nothing else, the steal of recent memory. How about that? This could potentially give the Panthers an absolutely loaded secondary, and that's with or without J.C. Horn, who, of course, went down to injury, broken foot, may or may not be back this season. Assuming he comes back, you're looking at a secondary that has J.C. Horn, Stephon Gilmore, A.J. Boye, Dante Jackson, and C.J. Henderson. And then Keith Taylor and Stanley Thomas Oliver behind all those guys, who are a couple of young and promising players. I mean, this move is great for everybody. Stephon Gilmore gets to come into a good defense, prove he can play. If he does that, he has a good shot at getting a new contract. Way less pressure on J.C. Horn to come back from injury quicker than he should. He doesn't feel like he has to be back. C.J. Henderson doesn't feel like he's the guy, which was probably a lot of his problem in Jacksonville, feeling like he has to be a franchise player. Right now with the Panthers, he's just one of the guys. He does not have to be anything close to special. He just has to be good enough and get his job done. And I think that's something that Matt Rule's done a great job with building this team. Same thing with, we said it with Sam Darnold. There's no pressure to go out and be the guy. There's no pressure to go out and be a franchise player. We got one of those in the backfield, number 22. Everybody else, you do your job and we're going to be just fine. This move is interesting as far as money's concerned. This will give the Panthers the opportunity, because there's no certainties that they're going to lock him down for the next couple of years. But I think if you sign him to a short-term contract, 2 or 3 years, and like I said, he's playing even close to what he once was, you have J.C. Horn and C.J. Henderson, 2 top 10 corners from the last 2 drafts. 2 top 10 picks from the last 2 drafts, learning behind one of the best corners of the last decade. Of really this generation, he's one of the guys who stands out. Obviously, Dante Jackson's contract is coming up. Fitterer says that it's not going to affect that, and I believe him. But we'll see what happens with Dante Jackson. I don't expect him to get a huge contract, so that could be a deciding factor for him. We'll see how that goes. But like I said, if J.C. Horn's able to come back this year and the Panthers are able to plug him back in, Stephon Gilmore on the other side, rotating with C.J. Henderson, or him in the nickel, Boye. Boye, by the way, is a guy who was a former Pro Bowler as well. He doesn't stand out as much as some of these other guys, but, 5 years ago, he was seen as one of the best corners in the league. And now he's, with J.C. Horn there, 4th on the Panthers depth chart maybe. So, I mean, they're really loaded at this position right now. And there are some question marks, don't get me wrong. But if Gilmore can be close to player we know he can be, this is an absolute steal. A 6th-round pick in next year's draft. It's not even going to affect him this year. And, no offense to the 6th-round picks of the world. The Patriots hit on a pretty good one in Tom Brady. But you don't hear a lot about 6th-round picks. This is basically free. This is basically for nothing. No offense to Thomas Fletcher. The Panthers just took a long snapper with a 6th-round pick. And now you're bringing in a former All-Pro. And I don't even like to use the word former because it wasn't that long ago. It was really one injury ago. This guy was the best corner in the NFL by far. Indisputable. And now the Panthers just go out and grab him. As a Panthers fan, this is crazy because you used to, before Fitterer and Rule and Tepper came in and started running this team, these are the types of moves you would look at from the outside looking in. You're like, oh my God, why do the Panthers not do stuff like that? Why do we not get in on this? But now here we are. Every time someone's available, we're in on it. What did Fitterer say when he was hired? We're going to be in on every deal. That was a man telling the absolute truth because the Panthers have been in on every single deal. And we just said it, last week, we felt like we got a steal with CJ Henderson. We lost a 3rd-round pick in that deal and our starting tight end. Here we lost a 6th-round pick. And there's still some contract stuff to work out. There is some injury stuff. He's technically still on the physically unable to perform list, but he should be back by the game after next. So this is just a chance to be a colossal win for the Panthers. Colossal. I think in the Dallas game, it's possible we kind of looked at our team and said, yeah, we're not good enough. We're not good enough against the pass. And, we talked about on the podcast a lot. The run was pretty ugly. The run defense was pretty ugly. Pass defense was pretty ugly too at points. But, I think the Panthers potentially just made a huge move in improving their defense even more. A very, very young defense, I might add. Just got some veteran help. A defense that was, for 3 weeks into the league, was putting up historic numbers. Now, things didn't go so well in the last game. I know that, but they definitely have the potential to bounce back. They still have all the talent that they had the first 3 weeks. They still have all the players. They still have, everything they brought to the table when they were dominating the league just didn't really all come together in the last game. So we'll see what they do moving forward. And, final thoughts, man, just like I said, shout out to the front office, man, for staying in it. Staying in. A lot of teams, your top corner goes down and that's it. You say, well, he's down. We'll just have to play it out. Panthers haven't done that. Now, I do believe that these moves might have happened whether or not he went down or not, at least one of them. But it's very nice to see our team be aggressive and stay wanting to be competitive, no matter if, there's some ups and downs along the way. I've heard the term win now thrown around a lot. I don't necessarily care for that statement because I feel like if you're doing things the right way, you're always trying to make your team better. Not only today, but tomorrow as well. So I think this is a winning franchise type of move. Not necessarily today, not necessarily tomorrow, both. If you want to be a good, competitive, winning team, you do things like this. Very, 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 very high reward. Very, very, very low risk. Worst case scenario is you lost a 6th-round pick and you don't get a chance to draft another long snapper in a couple of years. Anyway, if you're still here, thanks for watching. Those are kind of my initial thoughts on this trade. We'll see how it pans out. Can't wait to see what happens here with the Panthers. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and we will catch you next time. Keep pounding.